I'm the Tableau server admin, and also I co-lead this user group. Just some quick logistics. Everyone is muted during the whole presentation for better recording quality. Yes, this session is recorded, and the recording link I just posted in the chat. However, during the presentation, please use the Q&A button to submit your questions at any time. We will try to answer your questions as we go. Hopefully, Katie can help us as well, but we will also have a dedicated Q&A time at the end of the presentation. Today's topic is TSM by Tableau Senior Product Manager Sajin. We also have Tableau Dev Team Manager Katie in the panel. Hopefully, Katie can follow the Q&A panel, can also answer some of the questions when Sajin presents.
Cool.
Without any further ado, why not, Sajin, you take it over from here. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Good morning, everybody. So my name, as Mark said, is Serjan Pesha, and I'm the Senior Product Manager for TSM at Tableau. Today, I would like to talk to you a little bit about Tableau Services Manager, or TSM for short, and I'll refer to it as TSM all through the presentation. So kind of the agenda for today, the areas that I wanted to go over and that we're going to be covering today, and then we're going to dive in and learn more about TSM. As I said, I'll be going over at a high level about areas and things that TSM provides to server admins. I'll talk a little bit about the server architecture and some of the new processes and services that we have introduced with TSM. We'll go over some of the interfaces and administrative tasks that you might be doing with TSM and how they have changed from the previous version of the product. So what is TSM? TSM is a comprehensive administration tool for installing, configuring, and managing your Tableau server instance or cluster. As you may know, TSM was first introduced with Tableau Server excuse me, on Linux 10.5, and is available now on Windows since July on Windows with version 2018.2. Version 2018.2 of Tableau Server also adds Web UI to Linux version. TSM represents a brand new architecture that was designed from the ground up for greater flexibility and minimal downtime. Additionally, TSM combines some of the previous tools and utilities in one place, and I'll touch that on the next slide a little bit. So, as Mark was telling me earlier, most of you guys are familiar more with Tab Admin, so you're likely very familiar with some, if not all, of the tools shown on this slide. We have, of course, Tableau Server Configuration Utility, Manage Product Keys Utility, and a few other command line tools that you have seen before, and of course used before, if you have installed and used a pre-TSM version of Tableau servers. To access any of these tools, previously you needed to log in to the remote desktop, you need to log in or remote desktop into the primary node of your Tableau server installation to access it. That changes with TSM, and so with TSM you will now be able to access all the same functionality right from the web. And I realize that this looks a little bit cluttered, but it's actually one interface that shows 3 different tabs. And I'll talk about that a little bit more later in our demo and going to the presentation. So going back to the functionality of TSM to the web is all you need is a web browser of your choice and the login credentials to the machine of an administrator on one of the nodes in your cluster, and you will be able to access all of the same functionality. And like I said, we'll go through these through a demo in just a few minutes. So before we get to the demo, I wanted to highlight some of the key benefits that TSM brings. With TSM, you have greater flexibility and ease of automation. In addition to the web GUI that you just saw in the previous slide, you're also able to access TSM via excuse me, client command line interface on the machines themselves, or we also expose a set of REST APIs which you can write your custom automation against. With TSM, another change that we have made is that there is no more concept of primary machine and workers. All nodes are peers, and backup primary is no longer required to be provisioned for high availability. In addition, we have introduced the ability to do dynamic topology changes, or as we sometimes call it, hot topology changes on certain server processes. In short, what this means is that you're now able to change the number of backgrounders and vSQL processes without a server restart or downtime to you or your Tableau server customers. Finally, with TSM, you will be able to do faster upgrades than before. We've changed the paradigm on how we do upgrades, which can minimize the downtime and keep Tableau server up longer for your customers. So let's talk a little bit about all these changes and some architectural changes and processes introduced with TSM. In TSM, we have 6 core services, which are in dark blue on the left here. Controller, coordination service, agent licensing, client file services, and services manager. This group makes up what we call TSM processes. TSM processor will continue to run on your machine even if the Tableau server is stopped, because these processes are used to manage the servers, so they need to be able to start, stop, configure, check the status of individual processes running in Tableau server. The boxes in light blue, that looks light blue, represent these processes that you're likely more familiar with, such as backgrounder, gateway, repository, etc. In addition, in orange, we have 3 new TSM maintenance processes. These processes are also installed by default on every node in the cluster. They perform functions such as backup restore, DB maintenance, and site export import. These services do not run by default unless you perform one of these tasks. So now that we have covered these process groups, next piece of information is the control process itself, which is where we expose the REST API. And you will notice on this diagram that three ways have popped up to connect. And those are the ways we interact with the REST API directly, and this is hosted on the controller. Controller does all the orchestration of the configuration and topology changes in the cluster. These changes will persist in the coordination service, or you may know coordination service better as Zookeeper. This is why it is so important to have a redundant coordination services story, as this is a single source of truth across the system, and also why it needs to be running all the time. The agent, which is the service that will be installed on every node in the cluster, talks to the coordination service to understand the state of your cluster. If there are changes, such as new processor or configuration changes, the agent will read these from the configuration service and send those to the service manager, which will then start or stop the appropriate processes on the server. In addition, the agent is responsible for querying the status of all the Tableau server processes, including the service manager and all the applications within, including backgrounders, gateway, repository, etc. Sorry, and this is how the service knows the status of the system. Next is the licensing service, which provides simply licensing capabilities and helps ensure that your instance or cluster is properly licensed. Client file services is used to distribute files across your cluster. This can include customization files such as custom logos, or if you have special search or key tab files, if you're using certain types of authentication like SAML or Kerberos. So moving on a little bit to, to the installation. Installation with TSM is pretty straightforward and easy. I'm going to walk you guys through it, but this essentially all you need is to download the latest version of Tableau Server from our website. With TSM, whether you're doing a single node or distributed installation, you just have a single installer to download. There is no more primary and work installers to manage separately. To start, of course, you just launch the installer on your initial node, follow the prompts to install the binaries on your machine, and at the end of that process, the browser window should automatically launch and prompt you to log into TSM using your local administrator account on Windows or a member of TSM admin group if you're installing on Linux. Following that, you will go to the initialization process to the web interface, which will prompt you for your license key activation and registration information, and set up some of the key things for your server, such as identity store, gateway ports, a gateway port, etc. This will take you to the end of the installation. You will have hopefully a running, well-behaved Tableau server. For additional nodes, you simply run the same installer with similar steps on each additional node in your cluster. And this is of course talks about the fresh install. For performing upgrades in TSM, we made some changes how this works. To be perfectly clear, there are differences if you're upgrading from pre-TSM to TSM version and TSM to TSM upgrade. Pre-TSM to TSM is a bit more involved and has more steps. First, let's go over the process, let's go over the pre-TSM to TSM process. This is a one-time process you need to go through. First step is to uninstall your previous version of the server. Uninstalling the previous version will still leave you all your data in place, and pre-TSM automatically take a backup for you. Once you have installed the previous version, you will run the latest version of the Tableau server installer from our website and go through the installers as we previously described. At the end of the installer, you should have a similar setup as what we have on the slide here. It lets you know that the upgrade is not quite completed. You will need to run a separate upgrade script that you can choose to automatically do at that point by checking the top box on the left picture there. Note that if you're in the multi-node cluster, you will want to first run the uninstall of the previous version and install the new version on all nodes in your cluster before launching the upgrade script. Secondly, I'd like to talk a little bit about the TSM to TSM upgrade. When doing the TSM to TSM upgrade, you no longer need to uninstall the previous version of the server. What you do is download the installer, then install the new version of Tableau server alongside the existing version. Doing this, there is no need to stop the server. The users can continue to use Tableau server. All you're doing at this point is installing those new bits alongside the existing. Nothing has changed in the product. We, of course, always recommend doing a backup before any upgrade, just a reminder. And once you have that backup, the only downtime you will have is once you do run the upgrade script, and we'll touch on how much the timing has changed between the previous version and current version. So at that point, what would you do is stop the Tableau server, run the upgrade script similar to what you have done in pre-TSM to TSM, and it will seamlessly upgrade you to the latest version of Tableau server. Once you have confirmed that everything is running well on the latest version, you at that point have an option to uninstall the previous version of server if you so choose. So I touched a little bit on the speed of the upgrade that TSM provides now. And in our internal testing on, I believe it was a 5-node cluster, the upgrade went from 75 minutes to approximately 15 minutes in TSM to TSM upgrade. We think that this new upgrade process should really improve the experience for both you and your users. So now that I walk you through all of that, I'd like to walk you a little bit through the TSM web UI interface and do a little bit of a demo. So go here, and let me just log in real quick. Hopefully nobody sees my password. So as previously described, we have 3 main areas in TSM. The status page, which shows you all the processes statuses and on all the nodes that you have in the cluster. The maintenance page, where you can generate the logs, or you can upload to technical support, and you can also where you can enable crash reporting if you so choose. I'll talk about log files and configuration, which is our last tab here, and I'll demo that in just a minute. Configuration is the heart of TSM. You can change your topology settings here. You can change your security settings. You can set up external SSL, repository SSL. You can change or set up your authentication method, and you can user and password, Kerberos, SAML, mutual SSL. You can also set up the trusted authentication. There's also an area where you can set up the notifications and have the server to email notify you about different things. Last but not least, the licensing is here, so you can activate your licenses and deactivate your license or add your licenses right here in the UI. And also, as you can tell, you can also restart or stop Tableau server straight out of the user interface. So I want to cover a couple things as far as the features here. The ability to add log files makes it a lot easier in case you do have issues to download your logs and to share them with Tableau and upload them to your technical support case. So to do that, all you will have to do is click on Generate log file snapshot. You can name it anything you want. The range of time you can go is, as you can tell, anywhere from 24 hours to a week. And you can also include in your log file snapshot, you can also include the post-crash data and any recent crash times to save and or upload to support. I'll not generate the log file here. It takes a few minutes. It can take a few minutes, so I'm just gonna, since I've generated quite a few, I'll show you how to, what you would need to do to upload and or download to the Tableau Tableau support. So you just choose the log files that you want, and if you want to download, you can just click on download, and it'll just download them. Or you can click on upload and as you can tell, it just creates a zipbox file for you. Or if you choose to, excuse me, if you choose to upload to technical support, you would need to have a support case number and your email address, and you just upload the snapshot. Easy as that. As far as the main thing, the topology changes, it is very exciting to be able to adjust and manipulate certain processes without impacting your users. For example, in TSM, you can change depending on your needs. Sometimes during the day you may need more SQL servers. During the night you may need more backgrounders or whatever your needs may be. and you can as simply just let's say you wanted, for some reason you wanted less VSQL servers and less backgrounders, and just kind of go through these. Oh, did I not? I guess I should choose 2 backgrounders. There you go. And as you can tell, once you start making changes, there's a couple things happening. The VSQL server and the backgrounder, the processes that you've changed, have bolded, and also the pending changes has popped up here. So you have made the adjustments you want, but you haven't really applied those changes. To apply those changes, you click on the pending changes, and you can see that it lists all your changes that you have done. In this case, decrease the backgrounder from 4 to 2, and so on and so on. An important thing here to note is that you can still back out at this point if you change your mind. This got all pending changes, so just go back to what it was. Or you can apply live changes. Live changes means simply that. The changes will go live without disrupting your server. So for that, let's go apply these live changes, and it should take just a couple of minutes to do so. And let's see, and of course, be safe. You do need to confirm. And at that point, the TSM shows you that changes are the processes and on the nodes. And as you can tell, the changes that we made have reflected in the UI, in the web UI, and you can see that decreases and in the number of processes across the nodes. As I said, that doesn't mean your server is stopped, so you can still go to your server and your users will never know that you've changed anything. You can still interact with it. You can go to workbooks, look at all kinds of stuff. So performance-wise, and of course, the Wiz takes a little bit of time to load, just when I was showing off. Oh, here we go. And you can look at the status here too. You can go check your settings. You can, like I said, the changes that you've made do not impact the server at all. And as you can tell, I'll be honest with you, I cheated a little bit. The spinning down the process is a little bit faster, so I didn't add any that takes a little bit longer, just a little bit, not much, but a little bit. So as you can tell, it's pretty quick, and you've made adjustments. You can also use CLI for this, or you can automate it with your to the REST API. Okay, and that's about it on the demo. So let's go back to the slide. As I mentioned briefly, here's the example of the TSM CLI and TSM topology help command. And you can see that everything that is available in web UI is there and more in CLI. So, depending on your needs, depending on your desire to think over things or be more advanced, you can go from web UI to CLI to REST API, or a combination of all of them. So as we've discussed, high availability is another important area where TSM has changed things from the previous version. As previously mentioned, there was a concept of primary machines and worker machines in the previous version, and I'm sure you guys are very familiar with that. With TSM, there is no more this hierarchy if nodes are in the cluster. All nodes in the cluster are peers. And so in the past, if your primary went down, then you needed to have a backup primary in order for licensing to work properly, for example. This meant that you needed 4 machines minimum to have a highly available system. With TSM, you only need 3 nodes, the same 3 nodes, so that they can maintain quorum. If one of the nodes goes down, in particular if the node with licensing service goes down, we provide you a mechanism to move that process to a different node in the cluster and recover quickly. One important note, as highlighted in this slide, you must manually initiate additional coordination service ensembles in the distributed cluster in order to achieve HA. By default, we only install coordination service on the initial node. However, for HA, especially once you have a minimum of 3 nodes, we recommend, we recommend that you add coordination service to each of the 3 nodes. If you have a 5 cluster node, we can install 5. There is a lot more information and help in Tableau website to help you through this if needed, and we also have some links at the end that can point you the right direction. One of the things that, oops, sorry. Okay, sorry. One of the things that I want to mention next is the backup and restore. And I cover some changes that we made to it. With backup and restore, there are 3 types of data that you'll need to think about backing up. The first is the repository data, and this includes data such as workbooks, any user metadata, extract files, etc. To back up this data, which is in a way the traditional data that you think about when backing up the server, you would use the TSM maintenance backup command and TSM maintenance restore command if you needed to get the data back. The next set of data that you need to back up is the configuration and topology data, which is separate from the actual workbook data managed by the TSM backup command and can be backed up using the TSM settings export command. And you can import this data if you want in a new cluster using the TSM settings import command. Finally, there are a set of configuration files, some of which is listed here, that must be manually backed up. We recommend that you copy these files from one of the nodes in a cluster and save them to a safe location. Then once restored to a new cluster, you can re-import these files using the TSM CLI as documented in our online help. And that's brings us to the summary. So that's really a quick summary of what TSM provides. And just kind of to summarize again, we replaced multiple tools for service administration, and we do really think that this would be, that TSM would be a one-stop shop for all your admin needs. We try to put as much as we can in the web UI for ease of use and flexibility, but as I mentioned previously, we do have a full set of CLIs and REST APIs as a companion to the web UI if you do need that more advanced functionality. We've made upgrades faster with TSM, and as I said, you no longer have to have a dedicated backup primary for high availability. We've introduced new capabilities with hot topology or dynamic topology changes, and we made, as I said, a few changes to the backup and restore in order to make it more flexible, depending on what data, what type of data you want to back up and restore. And as I mentioned, there is a wealth of online resources that we have. If you wanted to kind of dig in deeper to the TSM, we have the TSM, excuse me, overview. There is there may be a lot of questions about tab admin to TSM and command translation between tab admin to TSM. So that concludes my introduction to TSM for you. And like I said, please ask any questions, and thank you very much for your time.
Sergeant, thank you. We still have about a half hour. There are tons of questions already there. Some of those got answered already.
Oh, okay.
When are you able to see the Q&A panel?
I am. I'm going to open it real quick. I saw the. Yes, I can see it.
Okay, when I go start from beginning, for the audience, please submit your questions using the Q&A button so we can track them. Thank you.
Okay, sorry. It's okay. Can we get the demo presentation documents? Yes, we can send links for, we've done webinars.
Okay. If you open look at the open tab.
Hey, Mark, do you want to read the questions back?
You want me to read the questions? Because the audience cannot see.
Okay.
Okay. I'll try to read the questions for Sajin and the audience. When upgrading TSM, is the same version installed on all nodes?
Yes, the same version needs to be on all nodes.
Thank you. Next question from James. Will TSM 2018.3 Windows fix upgrade problem from TSM 2018.1 to 2?
So the story is a lot more straightforward going from TSM to TSM than it is from pre-TSM to TSM. And yes, there has been some issues and some pain that we've addressed through a couple of maintenance releases to improve that process and make it better, and continue to do so with pre-TSM to TSM experience.
Okay. Another question is from Miran. Is there a way to run the TSM backup command without having to enter credentials? For example, I wanted to run TSM maintenance backup. It prompts me for the password to my user ID. I wanted to automate this feature, but did not want to include user IDs or password in my batch file.
So there's some partial process that we currently offer, and that is something that we are looking to improve going forward.
Okay, thank you. Another question from Omar. Upgrade will copy SAM and SSL configuration from non-TSM server? I guess that's a question. Will upgrade copy SAML and SSL configure from non-TSM server?
You should be able to upgrade with your settings intact with SSL now.
Okay, if the answer is not clear enough, you can always ask another question. I'll ask questions slightly differently, please. From Shim, the configuration page shows how to apply certifications from internal CA. Is there a documentation for applying internal certification for TSM Web UI? This is good for us for external cert.
Sorry, I'm trying to find that question. I was breaking up.
The configuration page shows how to apply the cert from internal CA. Is there any documentation for applying internal cert for TSM Web UI?
There's a ton of documentation on there, and yes, I can't say for sure I've seen it, but to be frank with you, but if you can't find it, just please reach out directly to me. I can help you out.
Okay. Question from Sandeep. The site import-export did not work between different versions. Is there any alternatives?
Not that I'm aware of. I don't know if Kitty may know some alternatives, but I'm not sure. I can follow up on that.
Thank you. Question from John. Will future versions of TSM GUI support other configure parameter changes so that the TSM CLI becomes unneeded?
We're always looking to improve the web UI and improve our offerings. I think for the sake of clarity and complexity, at least at this point, there's always going to be a little bit more things that you can do in CLI than in web UI, but we're always looking to improve, add things that are relevant and heavily used in the web UI.
Okay, question from Mike. Does the Tableau 18.2 version works with Site Recovery Manager for disaster recovery? The previous versions do not work due to the way that IP addresses are hard-coded.
Sorry. For some reason, oh, there is more. Sorry, Mark, can you repeat the question?
So it's mainly that the questions around 2018.2 version, if it works with Site Recovery Manager.
File Recovery Manager,
For disaster recovery purposes?
Site Recovery Manager will not work.
Okay.
Yeah,
no, thank you.
We do rely on the hard-coded machine name, so that's why.
Okay, next question is very common for many people. Thank you, Jules, for asking. The question is, can the TSM maintenance backup command be invoked from a script or command line?
Yes.
Sure. Of course, it's yes. Has to be yes. Okay.
I sure hope so.
Question from Shim. Question: how to apply internal CA cert on https://Tableau server column 808050?
I'm not sure, to be honest. I think it's I'm not sure. I think we have to follow up on that.
No question either. Can you repeat answer for backup question? Not quite sure which one. Sorry, I don't have such a good memory. Ask again the question. Sorry. Next question from VJ: is any interface to kill the jobs like backgrounders, speech query process, and so on?
To kill the jobs? That's something I think that we are looking at as overall server and should be coming in. It's under consideration, but right now I don't think you can do that.
I thought there is a way to kill the backgrounders. Is there any?
Sorry, what was
background job, extract job. I thought there is a way to kill the
there's always
extract job.
Yeah, that could be a workaround, but directly, no.
Okay. Probably no UI, I guess.
No, not in UI. Oh, sorry.
All right. Yeah, you are going to TC18. Next question. Sorry.
No, sorry. I was just going
to go ahead. Okay. Any TSM learning sessions at the coming New Orleans TC18? Question from Jeff.
So I know there's a couple of things at the TC. There is going to be a talk about the high availability. There is going to be introduction to TSM similar to what I have done, and there will be a demo kiosk or a booth that you can go and play with it, and that's I think that's about it.
Jeff, see you at the TC18. Next question from James for the upgrade path. For those who we are still at non-TSM world, the upgrade path, does they have to go with 2018.2, then go further, or can I go from non-TSM to, for example, 2018.3?
I encourage you to go to the latest version. So yes, 2018.3 or .2. It's we always improving and fixing. So it's always, I think, in my opinion, it's always good to have the latest.
And directly from whatever, like 10.5.
Exactly. You don't have to go from 10.5 to 2018.2, then 18.2.3 or anything like that. You can just go directly pre-TSM to TSM latest version.
Good to know. Thank you. Next question: can we connect to Oracle Agile Data? Agile Data, what's that? Through Tableau 2018.2.2. This looks like this is a question for the connector. Tableau to Oracle Agile Data. What's that? Don't know about that.
That's more about the connectors and stuff.
Correct. It's more like a desktop connector. Yeah. Next question from Sandeep. Any idea how the existing web data connector works after upgrade to 2018.2?
Again, I think that's more about that's something I can follow up with the team that does the web data connectors. I don't know.
But I'm assuming the web data connector should work with server upgrade, right?
Absolutely. That's an assumption on part two.
VJ's question, is any interface to kill the backgrounder? This question came before.
Yeah. Yeah. There is a new REST API for killing backgrounder jobs, yes.
There's no interface or no UI, but there is a way to kill it from a command line.
Yeah, that should work, but not the backgrounder itself.
Okay. Question for subscription. 2018.2.1, we saw subscription icon missing for all the workbooks. This is an issue resolved on 2018.2.2.
That's not it's not a direct question for TSM. So again, that's something we can follow up, but it's not with our team.
Interesting. All subscription missing. Not aware of this. Wow.
That's weird.
Interesting. Question from Danny. I have not been able to create a backup to a non-default location using TSM command since we upgraded our Tableau server. Is there any known issue about TSM backup?
You cannot specify the path at this time, but that's something we are looking into changing.
So again, can you repeat this answer, please?
Yeah, I'm just looking at the questions. Yeah,
can back up to different location, not default location.
Location, and that's something we're looking to change in the future.
I see. So it is the way it is. Okay, got it. All right. Question, more like clarification question from Sandeep for the web data connector. Because cannot be imported, only whitelist in the 2018.2. That's why. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, in 10.x version, of course, we have the whitelist and then import.
Yep.
Question from Guru. We recently upgraded to 2018.2. We have a nightly cleanup scripts with TSM cleanup command, but it seems that temp space is not cleanup and consume a lot of space. Are we missing any configuration here?
I don't think so, but we'll. Surprised why I wouldn't clean up the space, but no, it should.
Yeah, can you clarify, Guru, the temp space? Are you talking about machine level temp or talk about the repositories?
Yeah, and if I'd say if it's always if Guru's having issues, then a support ticket is definitely an option. And
okay. Last question in the list. Shrikant. I read hyperrinse on cubes internally. If I want to visualize our cube, Hadoop cube, is there any way I can connect the cube instead of running hyper and create a cube in Tableau?
So I encourage you to work with the hyper team on this one.
Yeah, cube is always challenging for Tableau, which is not really designed for cube.
Yeah.
I don't know how far you can go. I'm not aware of the huge change with Hyper for this. Okay, we are running at the bottom of questions. Any other further questions? We still have about 50 minutes.
It looks like there were a couple of questions that came through using the chat instead of Q&A, if you guys want to take a peek in there really quick.
Yeah, let's go through the chat. Okay, where we are. Oh yeah, the chat from Victor. I want to know this answer as well. Under the server pending changes, is there any way to track which server admin actually made the pending change?
We have some limited tracking, but I think that more details is something that we're looking to add.
So you are saying current version, we don't have the ability?
No.
Okay, that's fine, thank you. Another chat from Joseph. I think the answer already from Joseph. Command line to invoke backup, of course. Another question, is that from Venkat? I cannot see clearly. We have not enabled SSL currently on our environment. For upgrade to 2018.3 from 10.5. Do we need to set up SSL just for TSM or both TSM and the server?
Sorry, GSM?
So from Venkat, the question was, we have not enabled SSL currently on our server environment. For upgrading to the 2018.3 from 10.5, do we need to set up SSL just for the TSM purpose?
You don't have to, but it's always, I think it depends on your needs, and if you do want to, use SSL now, it's just a choice.
Okay. Question in the chat from Victor. Do you have repository of command scripts run against TSM CLI?
Repository of scripts, there's any scripts would be, if I understand the question correctly, any scripts that would be in the scripts folder under the installation, any one that we have.
Okay, we're back to the QA open questions from Sergeant. Subscription icon still missing in 2018.2.2. Does the issue get resolved in 2018.2.3?
Subscription icon. I can follow up on that. I wasn't aware that that was missing. But it could be, well, yeah, I'll write it down as a note.
Question from James. For custom admin reports, does the TSM upgrade preserve the Postgres database credential, or do we have to reset manually after upgrade for the custom admin reports?
I think for the custom admin reports, you would, I think you would have to, but I don't know for sure. Like I said, it's something we can Postgres. I think for custom, you will have to.
Okay, next question from Shrikant. Can Tableau server SSI be PK12 instead of cert? I'm not quite sure. What's that? SSL or SSL, I guess.
If it's SSL, then I think it's all the certs that we support in the documentation. I don't know off the top of my head.
Okay. All right. A lot of questions. I was wondering, all those are very good questions, a lot of those. I was wondering, Jordan, if you're able to do a QA dump, all the questions, the answers dump. If you send to me, I'll be happy to clean up and post in the Connect Me page, not connect me, post in the Tableau community page.
Yep, I can share that with you.
That'd be great, yeah. All right, any other further questions? This is awesome. I guess if not, we will give a few minutes back to everyone, and hopefully we can see everyone at the TC18 New Orleans. It's coming in the corner. We will have server admin meetup. That is scheduled on Wednesday. I think Wednesday afternoon.
Cool. Well,
yeah.
You guys have fun. I'm sure it's going to be a blast.
Definitely we will. Thank you very much, Surgeon, Katie, and always Jordan for your awesome help to put this together. This is very, very helpful.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good one.
I guess, yeah, the TC18 admin meetup schedule is not out yet. Will be in the app in the next few days. Thank you very much. Bye now.
Thanks, everybody.